I won $3.5 million, but when I woke up, my entire life had been stolen by someone else. A cold bluish-white light beamed down from the ceiling, making me squint. The smell of disinfectant and the monotonous beeping of the heart monitor surrounded me, drowning me in a surreal reality. My head throbbed like it was being pounded by a hammer. My throat was parched. My whole body felt as heavy as if I had just fallen straight from heaven into hell. I slowly turned my head. Everything was blurry, floating like a dream. The faded wall, the ceiling fan spinning quietly, and an old TV hanging in the corner of the room playing the morning news. The winner of the $3.5 million Powerball jackpot has come forward. A Los Angeles resident's life was changed overnight. My blood ran cold. My eyes flew wide open. On the screen, a face appeared, one far too familiar to mistake. Tyler. He was holding up a giant check, grinning like the entire universe had just blessed him. Dressed in a sharp suit, surrounded by cameras, confetti raining down. "This is the most incredible thing that has ever happened to me," he said, his eyes shimmering like he was truly moved. I froze, not because of the injuries, but because of the truth slicing through my skin like a cold blade. That ticket was mine. I remembered it clearly. That day, he and I stopped at an old gas station near San Jose. It was drizzling. We joked that if either of us won the lottery, we would split it 50-50. I bought the ticket. The numbers were the date we first met. It felt like a silly gamble. Nothing more. But then, the accident happened. The shock hit me square in the chest. I shut my eyes, trying to piece it all together. That's right. The car skidded off the mountain road. The sound of the crash. The smell of gasoline. Then, darkness. I thought I had died. Maybe he thought so too. And while I lay unconscious, teetering between life and death, he stole the greatest fortune of my life. I looked back at the screen. He was shaking hands with an official from the lottery company. The camera cut to his wife, the same woman he once said only dated men with money, clinging to him with tears in her eyes. They looked like the perfect family straight out of a primetime drama. I almost laughed, but my throat tightened. That lottery ticket should have been mine. That once-in-a-lifetime chance was supposed to be mine. I had no idea where I was. No wallet, no phone, not a single soul recognized me. But there was one thing I knew for sure. I was still alive. And I was going to take everything back, including the bloody price he would have to pay for his betrayal. The golden afternoon sunlight pierced through the trees lining Highway 5, streaking across the windshield like blades. Tyler and I had just wrapped up a 3-day trip in Sacramento. The kind of spontaneous getaway only two guys with nothing to lose but a few credit card debts and heads full of dreams would take. As the gas gauge dipped low, I pulled into an old station tucked into the edge of the desert. The "gas and snack" sign was half rusted, and the digital board showing gas prices flickered like it was gasping for breath. "Go grab a bottle of water and some chips." I tossed my wallet to Tyler. "I'll pump the gas." He nodded and walked inside, lazily kicking an old soda can out of his way. A few minutes later, Tyler came back out. In his hands, a can of Monster, a bag of chips, and 2 Powerball tickets. He held them up like trophies. One for each of us. If we hit it big, we split it 50-50. I laughed. "Hey, you never know. But let me pick my own numbers." I walked into the store and made my way to the lottery machine. Under the pale fluorescent light, I carefully entered each number, not random ones, but ones that meant something. 09, 14, 02, 25, 11, 17. The day Tyler and I first met. On a windy fall afternoon in the college courtyard. The ticket printed out. A thin, light slip of paper that looked worthless. But I folded it carefully and tucked it into my wallet, right next to my ID card. For some reason, my heart pounded as I did it, like I was betting my entire future on 6 tiny numbers. That night, we crashed at a small motel on a hillside near San Jose. The kind of place with just one staff member, a hallway light that flickered in and out, and the sound of frogs croaking outside. Tyler fell asleep early, but I could not. I grabbed a cold beer from the minibar and stepped out onto the balcony. The night wind sent a chill down my spine. I pulled out my wallet, gazing at the ticket under the dim yellow light. If only we really hit the jackpot. I snapped a photo and sent it to my girlfriend with the message, "If I win the lottery, would you marry me?" She replied with a heart emoji. I smiled. I had no idea that photo would save me later. The next morning, Tyler got a call from his mom. Something had come up, and he needed to return to Los Angeles earlier than planned. "I think I'll catch the bus this afternoon," he said as he packed his things. "Okay, I'm going to stop by San Jose for a bit before heading back." We parted ways in the parking lot behind the motel. I got into the car while he waved goodbye and slowly disappeared behind the trees. I started the engine and drove alone along the mountain road heading south. The sky was starting to turn gray. Fog blanketed the winding road ahead, like nature's vague warning sign. A low, somber tune played on the car stereo. My mind wandered to the lottery ticket, to dreams of a new life, and then suddenly, a truck appeared around a sharp curve up ahead. I jolted and yanked the steering wheel. Crash! The tires skidded on the wet pavement. Metal screeched. The car tilted violently. I tried to regain control, but it was too late. The feeling of free fall swallowed me whole. The sky spun. Wind howled in my ears. Glass shattered. A blinding white light flashed before my eyes. Then everything went black. I do not remember how I survived. I do not know how I was found. All I know is, a few days later, when I finally woke up in a strange room, the television was playing a news report about the Powerball jackpot. The winner stood in a storm of confetti, holding up a $3.5 million check, which is about $5.6 million in Australian dollars. That face, there was no mistaking it. Tyler. And from that very moment, I knew, the real game had just begun. Everything after the crash was just a thick, pitch black void, as if I had sunk to the bottom of a freezing, bottomless sea. No sound, no color, just one lingering sensation. The feeling of leaving this world behind. I woke up to the smell of antiseptic and the steady beeping of a heart monitor. The ceiling above me was white, with peeling paint. Faint light streamed in through a window fitted with frosted glass. An elderly nurse leaned over me, her face filled with surprise. "You are awake? Oh, thank the Lord." I tried to move. Every part of my body ached. My head felt like it was splitting in two. I opened my mouth, but my throat burned like it had been scorched. I could not get a single clear word out. "Where am I?" "Trinity Hospital. You were brought in 5 days ago. A serious car accident. No identification. Your phone was smashed to pieces. We had no idea who you were." Trinity Hospital? I had never heard of that name. But then it all came rushing back, the mountain road, the truck, the plunge, and the wallet. I shot up, or at least tried to. My heart pounded in my chest. I searched through the blankets, all over my body. Nothing. No papers, no phone, no wallet. The lottery ticket. It had been in the wallet, along with my ID, along with everything that said I was me. I do not know if I actually screamed, but something inside my head cracked, like a mirror shattering. 3 days later, I was able to stand for the first time. A hospital staff member told me I had been found by a local man, a woodsman who lived nearby and chopped firewood for a living. He had called for an ambulance after spotting the mangled wreck of my car deep in a ravine. But since I carried no personal information, the hospital had no choice but to register me as John Doe, a nameless man. Luckily, I remembered my girlfriend's phone number. She picked up, sobbing uncontrollably. My whole family had reported me missing. The news of the accident had never spread. The crash site was too remote, and the car had vanished almost entirely into the rugged terrain. 1 day later, I returned to Los Angeles in an ambulance, wearing nothing but a hospital gown and carrying a temporary identification slip. The moment I stepped through the front door, the first face I saw was Tyler's. He rushed forward and hugged me like he had just seen a ghost. Tears welled up in his eyes. "I thought you were dead." I kept your stuff. I was going to build a little shrine or something." I said nothing, just stared into his eyes. There was something in that look that sent a chill down my spine. A flicker of panic, gone in a second, replaced by a smile. That night, after everyone had left, I asked him, "Where's my wallet?" He handed it to me. I opened it. Empty. The lottery ticket? I never saw any lottery ticket. Must have fallen out somewhere. I stayed quiet, but inside me, a storm was howling, because just a few days before, I had seen him on TV. At the hospital. On the afternoon I woke up, a news report was playing on the ceiling-mounted television in the corner of the room. I lay there, frozen, my heart racing. Tyler, on stage, holding up a giant check. Confetti swirling all around. His smile beamed like a spotlight. I just won the Powerball jackpot, $3.5 million. A dream come true. I had nearly broken down in tears. Not from joy, but from a betrayal colder than the rain that fell that night. I did not say a single word for the entire week that followed. Not to my mother, not to the doctors, and definitely not to Tyler. But inside me, a machine had begun to stir. I could not just sit back and watch him live the life that should have been mine. So I started to trace his steps. Quietly, patiently, precisely, like a predator tracking a foolish prey that had just left behind a blood trail. The first thing I did was message my ex-girlfriend, the only person who had known I bought the ticket that day. I asked if she still had the iMessage where I sent her the picture of it. Just seconds later, the photo popped up, the ticket, the numbers, the timestamp, all as clear and sharp as a bullet through a thief's conscience. Next, I drove to the gas station where it had all begun, where one impulsive decision led me toward life-changing money and eventually tragedy. I went straight to the manager's office and convinced the grumpy old owner to let me review the security footage from that day. Thankfully, they still had it archived, and in the grainy frame from a high-angle camera, there I was, plain as day, worn-out blue shirt, tired posture, standing at the lottery machine, tapping the numbers, taking the ticket, tucking it into my wallet. Finally, I dug through my cracked old phone. Amid hundreds of dusty old messages and silly banter, I found what I needed, a conversation between me and Tyler. Right after we bought the tickets. If we win, we split it, right? A joke, a verbal pact, a timestamp of the betrayal to come. Piece by piece, detail by detail. Every message, every image, they were coming together like fragments of a puzzle. And that puzzle revealed the image of a man who was once my friend, but was now a thief. A sloppy actor in a play he thought would never be exposed. I stood before the doors of the county courthouse, my old jacket barely shielding me from the morning sun beating down on the cold stone plaza. The early light bounced off the glass windows of the white-gray building. Behind those two tall doors was the place where my story would be rewritten, in paperwork, in testimony, in justice. Inside, the hallway echoed with the clatter of high heels and hurried footsteps. I was escorted to the second floor, to a small but crucial courtroom. No one knew what I planned to do with the evidence I had quietly gathered, the photo of the ticket, the gas station footage, the split it 50-50 agreement, like sharpened blades. Ready to carve the truth wide open. Tyler appeared. He walked past me quickly, his eyes briefly meeting mine. His face still carried that strangely calm expression, like an actor who had fully mastered his role. He greeted the judge and raised his hands at the metal detector. The machine buzzed softly, like the drum roll before a coming battle. The courtroom was small. Cold light from the recessed ceiling fixtures made the space feel sterile. Two chairs faced each other, one for the defendant, the other for the plaintiff, me. The authorities had formally pressed charges: grand theft, fraud. The judge, a woman in her early 50s with a firm voice, read a summary of the case. Then she called me to the witness stand. I took a deep breath, looking at Tyler through the one-way glass. He was still trying to keep his composure, but his hand trembled slightly as he raised it to swear in. When I began to speak, my voice was hoarse, tight with emotion. Your Honor, I was the one who won the $3.5 million jackpot. I had the ticket with me that night, but after the accident, I went missing. He, Tyler, became the face of the miracle ticket. I presented the iMessage screenshot. Clear evidence, the photo of the ticket, the timestamp. The image was a little washed out from the flash, but the serial number was undeniable. A scrap of plastic and paper, once just a sliver of memory, had now become rock-solid proof. The judge nodded and ordered the court to display the gas station video. High-angle camera, low quality, but good enough to see it all. Me, in a faded blue shirt, walking slowly to the Powerball machine, touching the screen, printing the ticket, placing it in my wallet. No Tyler. His supposed miracle had been stolen, a fabricated scene staged with counterfeit memories. While the video was playing, one of the opposing attorneys stood up to speak, his voice brimming with confidence. Mr. Daniel did not personally redeem the ticket. He could have fabricated this evidence, created it himself. For instance, the original ticket might not have even been submitted yet, which could explain why he still has it. The entire courtroom held its breath. I could feel my heart pounding harder. But then, something unexpected happened. The judge requested access to the State Lottery Commission database, the online system that logs everything. And up popped the unmistakable verification, claimed by Daniel Thompson, serial number 294,837,561,209. On July 14, 2025, Tyler's body trembled. A flash of defeat flickered in his eyes. When the judge presented this evidence, her words echoed crisply through the courtroom. Mr. Tyler, based on today's proceedings, this court finds that you unlawfully appropriated a significant asset, supported by the following evidence. Tyler froze. Sweat beaded across his forehead, like a mask peeling away. He bowed his head. I felt a surge rise within me, not the lightness of joy, but the grounding force of justice finally standing where it belonged. The trial continued with testimonies that were just as sharp. I told the court about the text message agreeing to split the prize, about Tyler's smile when he appeared on television, and about that chilling line, "I thought you were dead," a phrase that should haunt any honest conscience. The emotional peak came when I was asked to deliver my closing statement. "I used to be your friend. I trusted you. I thought you would be happy for me. But you chose another path. And today, I stand here not out of hatred, but to take back what was never yours." The courtroom went silent. Tyler's entire life seemed to collapse under the weight of dozens of damning testimonies. A betrayal unearthed, stripped bare beneath the glare of justice. No drama, no revenge-filled monologue, just truth exposed, and a traitor undone by his own hand. When the hearing ended, I stepped out of the courthouse. The sunlight outside blazed brighter than ever before, no longer something that made me shrink in fear, but a symbol of a new beginning. Tyler was still on the phone. But this time, not posting, "I won the lottery." Maybe he was trying to salvage something. Maybe he was hearing that his lie had finally unraveled. The judge's final words echoed through the small courtroom. The court finds Mr. Tyler civilly and criminally liable. The ticket belongs to Daniel. Justice has returned the name to its rightful owner. And the entire room erupted. I closed my eyes and took a deep breath. Not out of pride, but because I was free. I walked out of the courtroom to a swarm of reporters, their cameras flashing, voices shouting questions, but inside, I felt nothing but silence. Justice had been done, clearly, decisively, without screaming, but the ending had not come. The truth was out. The traitor had bowed his head. But I knew, for him, this was only the beginning. The next day, the headlines spread like wildfire. Tyler convicted of grand theft. Prize revoked. Returned to rightful winner. Old posts, gushing interviews praising California's luckiest man, were taken down. On social media, people reshared the image of him holding up the giant check, now with a new caption. What a performance. I did not feel happy. I did not laugh. I just felt light. Like a giant weight had finally fallen off my chest after weeks of holding it in to keep from breaking apart. That afternoon, he returned to the luxury apartment he had rented with the lottery money. His wife had cleared out everything, leaving behind a single, neatly folded note. "You had the chance to do the right thing, but you chose to lie." No anger, no tears, just a deep cut buried in silence. His bank account had been frozen. His friends stopped calling. The investment firm he bragged about was preparing to sue over suspicious funds. He sat there in a room that was high-end but hollow, the light seeping through the thick curtains like it was slicing through the illusion he had built. I did not need to see him to know the color had probably drained from his face. Light always exposes a traitor more ruthlessly than darkness ever could. As for me, I was different. I did not buy a car. I did not flaunt anything. I took my mother out to dinner at the small restaurant where she used to wash dishes. I quietly paid off old debts. I donated part of the money to rescue organizations, because it was a stranger near Trinity who saved me. And each of those small acts, to me, meant more than $3 million ever could. But then, a few months later, a handwritten letter, unsigned, appeared on Reddit. The handwriting was shaky, uneven, but the voice behind the words was eerily familiar. I am not asking for forgiveness. I just want to admit, I lost everything. Not because I was poor, but because I never knew when to stop. Daniel, if you are reading this, thank you for not turning me into a worse enemy than I already was. I stopped there and folded the letter. No anger, no pity, just a quiet pause inside me, like a small wave after a long, devastating storm. That day, I drove to the coast. The wind roared. The afternoon sun bathed the ocean in golden light. I stepped onto the sand and opened my hand, with nothing left to hold onto. The money, the fame, the anger, I let it all go. I am the one who survived. Not because I got rich, but because I held on to who I was. Speech balloon. There are things that, once lost, never come back, like trust. Like a friendship sold out to greed. But there are also things that, when reclaimed with kindness and courage, can make you stronger than ever before. My story is not just about a lottery ticket. It is a reminder to all of us, in this world. Betrayal may knock you down, but the strength to stand back up is what ensures you never truly lose. If you have ever been lied to, ever trusted the wrong person, or ever stood at the edge between justice and silence, tell that story. Because sometimes, all we need is to be heard. Leave a comment below. I want to know what you have overcome. And if you think this story deserves to be shared, share it. Who knows? It might reach someone who is still searching for a sliver of light in the dark. Follow Mega Luck Stories, where luck might just be one click away.